So today we have Nisha here, and Nisha is going to talk about her birth experience with her two beautiful boys. I want to start by saying I guess we can take out, as they would say, the elephant in the room is you were told that you couldn't have kids.
Yes. Yes.
And were you told this because of health issues? What was the reasoning? Like, why did they say this to you?
So I guess it starts like when I was much younger. I would say like maybe high school is where I realized that my periods weren't like everyone else's. They're horrible, like just really bad. And like the older I got, it just got progressively worse. And then I'd say in my early 20s, they started taking me seriously, they being like the doctors. And so they started running a lot of tests and, ultrasounds and like what is causing this. And so I had fibroids.
Okay.
And they're huge, were huge. They were like the size of grapefruits. They were big. And so essentially what would happen is every time I would get my period, the pain would be so unbearable. But at that time, like I didn't know much about fibroids and, how to take care of them and what you should be eating. I was very ignorant to what I should be doing to kind of minimize the issues I was having and the pain I was having. So I learned very quickly, like dairy's not my friend and like those type of things.
I feel like dairy's not even our friend now,
dairy's
to be fair.
Anyone's friend. Let's just get that. Like I never fed my kids like cow milk.
Yeah.
Never. Actually, I think they had like whole milk.
Yes,
but
the whole milk. Yeah.
But for a very small period of time, because one of my kids had really bad eczema, and so that was flaring it up.
Yeah.
So it was just those things that it's like, let's just leave dairy alone. So yeah, it's not for us. So but the fibroids, I changed my diet, but even still, like there was times where it's like I would literally dread getting my period because every month I would be passing out. I would literally faint. There's been times at work where like people would come and like scoop me up off the floor in the washroom because I passed out, because what was happening is the pain was so bad and my blood pressure would fall and then I would just pass out. It was
so horrible. It wasn't from like excessive loss of blood.
No, like, and that's the thing. My periods have always been pretty light and short. 3 days, even still today.
But 3 days of hell.
Right? And more so too, a lot of cramps before I actually had the period.
So you knew the
build was coming. That anticipation to the anxiety that came with it, because I knew I was going to be in so much pain. At one point I was taking naproxen. And I met this gyno once that was just like, what do you take? And so, I gave him the prescription that had been given in the past. And he was like, I'm going to take that. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in the garbage.
Really?
I was like, I've been taking this for years.
Yeah.
Right? And he was like, these are like horse tranquilizers. Like, you should not be taking these. And I'm sitting there like, hello?
But that was the only thing that was helping your pain.
And it was helping my pain. But for me, it was just like, why have I been taking something for years that you're saying I shouldn't be taking? Right? That was also prescribed by another doctor. So it's just those things. It was kind of like, what? But so anyway, it got to the point where it was just like, this is unbearable. I cannot live like this. I'm a woman. I can't fear getting my period every month. Like it's gonna come. So it's like, I can't go through my whole life like this, And by this time I would say I'm in my mid-20s. And I was meeting with this gynecologist in the Jane and Finch area. My family doctor is in Jane and Finch. I used to live in Rexdale, and that's where I grew up. And so I never changed my doctor. So I would trek all the way down there.
But then sometimes that's just who you're comfortable with.
You can't switch up your doctor, right? So anyway, he recommended this gyno, went to see this gyno, and I wouldn't say that he was dismissive, but he was just kind of like, you can't change it. Like, there's nothing you could do about it. Like, you have fibroids, you're black. His exact words were like, you're black. You have kinky hair, you have fibroids. It comes with it.
Really?
He's basically saying, like, most black women have fibroids. There's really nothing you can do about it. Some fibroids are a lot worse than others. Some of them are inside the uterus. Some of them are outside the uterus. But most black women have fibroids. And so he was just like, yours are just really bad. So you can live like this, or you can have a hysterectomy. And so I was like, hysterectomy me, please, because I'm like in my mid-20s.
I'm over the pain.
And for me, it goes a little bit deeper because I've never really seen myself having kids.
Okay.
Well, for one, I knew that I never wanted to have kids without being married.
Okay.
And at that time, there were no prospects. So I was like,
there's no candidates.
You know, I'm not going to say there wasn't anyone in the picture, but there was no husband in the picture. And even like someone that I could see myself with long term, right? And so for me, if I don't have a husband, I don't have kids, right? And so I just wanted to be comfortable. I wanted to live my life without fear. I didn't want to go through that every month. It was horrid. Like, it was horrifying. It was just horrible. And so I was just like, fix me. Like, do whatever you need to do to just take this pain away, take the discomfort away, the anxiety that I was feeling every month. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I went home and I told my mom. And I was like, yeah, so I'm just going to have a hysterectomy because I can't live like this, right? And she was like, you know when you're talking to someone, it's like they're listening, but they're doing something else? And so I don't remember if she was like cleaning or something. It was a long time ago. And I'm talking to her while she's doing this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and have the hysterectomy. And she was like, wait, what?
Instantly.
Yeah, she's like, wait a sec. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to take it out. Like, I can't live like this. She's like, take what out? She's like, you cannot have a hysterectomy. At this time, I'm 27 because I'll never forget the age. Because she was like, you are 27, you are unmarried, and how you feel right now about children may not be how you feel about children 10 years from now, right? So she was just like, absolutely not. She's like, you are not, absolutely not having a hysterectomy. And I was just like, Mom, I can't live like this. Like, I just can't continue to live this way. And she was like, I get it, but like,
we're not doing it.
She's like, I will find you another doctor. I need to have several doctors tell me that you can't have kids and that you need to have a hysterectomy before I agree with this. And she's like, I can't. And as much as like I was almost 30 at the time, like my mom's
still listening to your mom.
Like, I'm gonna listen to my mom, you know? And I trusted her. I did trust her. And so she was just like, we'll find someone else. And so we did. And so she first made an appointment with the doctor.
So she made the appointment.
Yeah, she made the appointment with the doctor who told me to have the hysterectomy.
Okay.
Just so she could tell him off. And tell him how irresponsible that was, and that he just shouldn't have done that. If you give someone an out when they're in pain and they're desperate, they're gonna take the out. Right. And so she was like, it was very irresponsible for you to do that. Like she's young, she's unmarried.
You don't know the future
and you're
holds.
making a decision that is literally like taking away what women are really made for the rest of her life. It's not a temporary decision. Like, once you do it, it's gone. And she was very upset about it. And she told him off and grabbed her stuff, and we left, and she found me someone else. And we saw him. God bless him. I don't know if he's still alive. Very old at the time, like hunched over.
Oh,
like,
he was near retirement.
Super cute doctor, tiny. You can tell he's shrinking because he's been practicing forever. And so I come in and I'm a mess, and like tears are everywhere, and I'm just frustrated, you know? And he's just like, I can fix you. And I was like, are you sure? He was like, I'm not sure, but we can try, right? And so he wanted to test, like wanted to see, okay, where are these fibroids? You know, are they going to really affect you giving birth and things like that? And the biggest fear at that time was, are the fibroids in my uterus? Because that was his fear. And they are. And so when he discovered that they were in my uterus, it's some inside and some outside, he was just like, okay, this is not what I wanted, but we could work with it. So he's like, let's, try to change your diet. That's the biggest thing for Black women. It's the way we eat. A lot of seasoning. And that is seasoning them of salt, and so he was just like, you're gonna have to eat bland for a while, and you're gonna have to eat a lot of live foods, no processed foods. That was his biggest thing. No processed foods. Cook all your food yourself at home as well, because you know what you're putting in it, and just eat very basic, right, for like 6 months, and then we're gonna check, are they shrinking? And so I didn't want to take medication to shrink them. That was a whole other thing. So he was like, let's just try the diet thing first. And so we did that for like 6 months to a year. It didn't get way better, but it didn't get worse.
There was improvements.
It didn't get worse.
Okay.
And that was a big thing for me, right? Because if we're on this path to make it better, it shouldn't be getting worse.
1,000%.
Right? So it wasn't getting way smaller, but they weren't growing.
Okay.
Which was a good thing. And then when I got rid of the dairy altogether,
You saw the improvements.
They started shrinking. The ones outside of my uterus started shrinking.
Yeah.
But the one inside my uterus became a problem when I got pregnant.
Okay.
So, got pregnant. Well, first, miscarriages. And I don't know if that's in any way related to the fibroids, so I don't want to attribute it to that. But that was also very discouraging.
But you said miscarriages.
But it wasn't. I guess I have to paint the picture. So you go through this scenario, hearing that you're never gonna have kids, right? And then you meet someone, and everything is great, and you get married, and then you go a whole year. First off, because like for me, I felt like I was late, not in comparison to anyone else, but just overall. Like I got married when I was 30.
Okay.
So I just felt like if I'm gonna have babies, like I gotta try to have babies now, right? And so the whole first year, no pregnancy.
And you were trying.
And I was trying.
Okay.
Like no birth control, nothing.
Yeah.
And I knew it was me because I gained a son when I got married. He already had a child. So I knew that it was me, right? Yeah. And obviously I knew my past and, my health issues. So it was very discouraging, right? And out of nowhere, well, not out of nowhere. First, there was a whole lot of tracking and obsessing with getting pregnant.
Yeah,
you know how that goes.
You're watching women, as you're ovulating, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're counting your days.
Honestly, the best advice I can give anyone who's trying to get pregnant, it's not working, don't do that.
You're putting pressure on yourself.
The ovulation testing, and I'm most fertile today, and my tracker says,
leave it.
Don't do it. It just adds to the stress and the constant negative tests. It doesn't help. Emotionally and mentally. It screws you up, right? Yep. And then you don't get pregnant because of stress on top of it. It's just too stressful. Leave it alone. I did that. So that's why I'm saying don't do it. I did it for like a year. We didn't get pregnant. And so I don't know if we gave up or if we were just like, we have Caleb. Yeah. Right? Like we have Caleb. I get to share him with his mom.
We'll enjoy this.
We're good, right? If this is what it is, this is what it is. Yeah. Essentially. Obviously, we want to have children, but if this is what it is, then we're okay. We're okay, right? Yeah. And so we started traveling. That 1 year, we took 5 trips. Okay. I took 5 trips.
Live your best life.
He took like 3. I took 5. So in December of that year, I went to Montreal with my girlfriends, Trisha. Okay. It was Trisha's birthday. We went to Montreal and came back home. And when I came home, I think it was my husband that was like, when was your last period? I was like, I don't know. Because I stopped tracking, right? And then I was just like, I really don't remember. One thing about my period, it was always on time. Okay. It was hell, but it was always on time, right? So I was like, that's kind of strange. Whatever. Didn't really pay no mind. Went through the Christmas season, all of that. January came, still no period. So I'm like, that's interesting. So I'm like, whatever. I'll just take a test, right?
You took a home test or you went to like the doctor?
I took a home test. Okay. I took a home test and it was positive.
You named drop?
I didn't. Okay. And it's because circling back to what I was saying before, this was after the miscarriage. Okay. Okay. So the first time when I found out I was pregnant, my husband was working out of town. He was working like 14 hours north of here or something, some bush place. And so I found out I was pregnant by myself. And I was so excited, but I wanted it to be like a big thing for him, right? Because I knew how badly he wanted a child too. So what I did was I made him like a little gift bag, and then he came home, and then I kind of, he read it, and then he realized what I was saying. Yeah. It was the whole thing. He was so excited about it. We were both excited. We both cried. It was amazing. And then I lost it.
And then you lost the baby.
Right? And it was devastating. It was just, it felt like literally dangling the carrot in front of the rabbit. Because it's like, why go through all of that? Why not just not be pregnant? Yeah. Right? But the Christian side of me wanted to be like, no. You were told you could never get pregnant.
And you got pregnant.
So like, this is, wait a minute.
There's potential here.
Wait a second. This might be something here. Like, it's disappointment, but it's a sign, right? You can get pregnant. Yeah. And so the first time when I miscarried that baby, it was like from like 6 weeks. We knew it was a miscarriage because there was no heartbeat. The sac was there, but it was empty and there was no heartbeat, right? But the bottom line is,
you got pregnant.
I got pregnant, right? So it was tough. It was hard, very hard to deal with. Because it just sucked. You know, really sucked. It was horrible. And then we went a whole year without getting pregnant again.
Were you still trying?
I don't know if I was trying or if I had just been
You're just living your life.
angry.
Mm-hmm.
And like I could say it now because I've moved beyond that, and it feels sinful to even say it, but I was angry with God. Because why? Like, why even do that? Like, you
Why
know what
give
I
me
mean?
the baby to take it away?
To take it away when I had gotten to a place where I was fine without it, right? I was fine. So like, why are we
doing
that?
this?
Like, right? You know. And then a whole other year went by, and then so that's when we came back from Montreal. And so he was like, where's your period? And because I had stopped tracking and all of that, I don't know if it's like out of anger or fear or what, I didn't know when my last period was.
Okay.
And so anyway, I took the test and it was positive. And it kind of sucked because it robbed us from being excited. Because we were afraid. We were so afraid. Yeah. We were so afraid to be excited and like to look forward to like, you know,
to get disappointed.
Yeah.
Again.
And then you hear all these stories about women who have like 5 miscarriages and, you know, stillbirths. And it was just, it sucked because I never got to really like enjoy the excitement. I still did the maternity photos, you know, baby shower and all that, right? But I just never really allowed myself to be like super excited
because I was so scared deep down.
So scared.
Yeah.
And then with Joseph, so the first one, when I was like maybe 6 or 7 months, I was hospitalized for like 2 weeks. Because
so the whole pregnancy was fine.
I was good. Okay. I had bad morning sickness, but as
nothing
expected,
out of the ordinary,
right? Like as expected. But then I think it was like maybe 6 or 7 months. I ate like some grapes, and I still attribute it to the grapes because I can't think of anything else I ate that day that was out of the ordinary.
I love grapes.
I love grapes. Okay, I love fruit. Period. Yeah. Right. So I ate these grapes. I was away from home. My eldest son was playing in a tournament, and we were like out of town somewhere. And I ate these grapes, and girl, thinking about it, I want to gag. Like I was just so sick.
Really?
Like, I could not stop throwing up. Even water.
The grapes ignited it.
Even water. Like everything.
Nothing was staying down.
Nothing. Okay. Made it home that weekend, went to the hospital the next day, or went to the doctor, told my doctor, like, something's going on here. Like, I can't even keep water down.
Yeah.
Sent me to the hospital. I went to the hospital. They admitted me. I was like, oh, great. Like, I hate being in the hospital, right? I was there. Because I couldn't keep water down, I was dehydrated. So then I had to have the IVs and then the pain from my stomach constantly, like, just the, like, contracting for the vomiting, and there's nothing in my stomach, right? So
it's acid at this point.
It's just acid. So I'm throwing nothing up. So the pain was just unbearable. And the doctor was just like, I have to give you morphine because you have to settle down. And I was like, I can't take morphine.
I don't want it.
I'm like 6-7 months pregnant. He's like, you have to take morphine, or
that's
like
it.
You have to take something. You have to take something for the pain. And I was just like, oh my God, my baby's having drugs. What look at me again? Listen, it was girl.
Okay. I thought Brittany was gonna come out with drug problems.
I was like, my child's gonna come out with drugs and all that. And my mom is just like, let go to drug zone and all that. Like it was just, and then I'm vomiting, and then my
so y'all bawling, y'all vomiting,
and then I'm hot, and it's just, and then my cousin, she is like my best friend, right? So she hears I'm in the hospital. She comes running in, and I guess I looked horrible because I've been throwing up for days. I wasn't really sleeping. I was in so much pain. And so she comes in, and I'm like, mouth open in the bed. She stopped bawling. She wasn't just like, God! And she's crying. And then I'm crying because I'm like, oh my, how bad do I look? Like, it was just a nightmare. And I was there for like 2 weeks, okay? And I was just like, this is horrible. So anyway, the doctor comes and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna send you home, but like when you go home, like eat like, well, the man said boil the chicken. Don't put no seasoning on it.
Mm.
Because basically he said, y'all be doing too much with the seasoning. Like, that's pretty much what
The only
he said.
boiled chicken I know is in soup.
Okay. That's what he told me. He said, boil chicken breast, make chicken broth, and have soup, and make it very, very plain. And he's like, if you're going to have like rice or something, plain rice. Like, I was like, no
little
little
butter, like
nothing at all. Like, he was just like, eat very plain and bland and boring until you feel like you could tolerate something. But he's like, I don't want to aggravate this, or you're going to be right back in
So
here.
little baby steps.
Little baby steps, right? And so then after that, I was put on bed rest because apparently my cervix was really short. And so then because of the weight that I was carrying, they were afraid that I would
was going to start to open.
Right. So then there was.
So hold on. So you were on bed rest for the rest of the pregnancy?
For the rest of the pregnancy.
Okay.
I was home.
And how was that?
I was not on bed rest. I was home. I should have been on bed rest, honey, but I wasn't. I was home.
So you were one of those people that was vacuuming the
I
floor
was
and all that.
summer. Both my kids were born in August, honey. It was.
You were
sunny.
outside.
I was outside. Okay, I was outside. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. I was outside. I was walking around. I was just like, get this kid out of me. I'm hot. Like, I'm miserable. By then, I'm just totally over it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hot. I'm over it. Right. And I look good that pregnancy too. Like,
So
I
you were trying to be
gained any-
outside.
outside. Okay, I didn't
hear you.
even look pregnant from behind. I look good. So I was outside. I lived my best life. And then to make it worse, his labor was like so easy. It was only 4 hours. I felt my first contraction at like, I think 6:30 p.m. He was born by 10:30.
Amazing. Amazing.
Sweetness.
Amazing.
Beautiful. Okay. It was just like,
And you thought that's what pregnancy was.
this is it. You know what I'm saying? This
Got
ain't
it in
so
the bag.
bad. This
Okay.
ain't so bad.
We're going to do it again.
Girl, that was not the plan, really. Let me tell you now. So we went home. We're just glad we have a baby.
Yeah.
He's healthy.
You're
God is
healthy.
good. God is good.
Yeah.
I'm healthy. God is good.
Yeah.
The nurses weren't so popping, but
Oh.
yeah, that's honestly how I feel about our healthcare system and the quality of care that we're given at this point is
Shambles.
let me pay for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even going to hold you. Like, where I am right now in my life is like, let me pay for my healthcare.
Yeah.
Because if that means that I don't have to stand in the hallway for 12 to 15 hours before being seen, I will pay for it.
If this means that I don't have to be fighting with you guys to tell you what I'm feeling and how serious it is,
or threatening you for you to be providing the testing that you need to be providing.
Yep.
If I'm saying things like, okay, write in my charge that you refused to give me this test. And then you say,
okay, we'll give it
fine,
to you.
we'll give it to you.
Yeah. We shouldn't have to do that.
Let me pay for it.
Because our tax is high, you know? A whole heap of tax will
My
pay.
taxes pay taxes at this point.
Okay. Whole heap of tax will pay.
Between tax and insurance, I don't know. Because I feel like my insurance has insurance.
Okay.
Like,
It's
at this
high.
point, I feel like I'm paying for it anyways. So like, let me pay for it. Because like, I brought my son to the ER. I think it was the summer or the spring of 2024. And my child was on the floor bawling, screaming for his daddy. Because daddy fixes everything, right? And nobody was seeing him. Nobody was seeing us. And I'm in the ER. He's bawling. I'm bawling. We're bawling together because my child is.
You can see the pain,
and you're not helping my kid.
Yeah,
I'm bawling. He's bawling, and we sat there
bawling
for 13 hours.
Just a ball,
just bawling periodically. Sometimes we're tired for crying, so we take a break, and then we cry.
13 hours.
13 hours.
I had a family friend, and not to dismiss from your story, but she also went to the ER, different issue, and she literally flung herself on the floor in front of the desk for them to pay attention to her.
Yeah.
And she got in.
And like, I want to make it clear, like, I'm not blaming the nurses.
Yeah,
because I get it.
They're overworked.
The nurses are overworked. They are underpaid. It's just, I don't agree with the way the nurses are being treated, especially with what they had to deal with during COVID. Like, I think they deserve a lot more respect, more pay, more, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't blame the nurses one bit. I think it's bigger than the nurses, but it's just, it's
you're feeling it as the patients coming in.
That's it. And it's just where we are, like, it cannot stay this way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've been to the hospital recently, but there are literally beds in the hallway. It's just,
it's ridiculous.
It cannot, like, this cannot continue.
Yeah.
Like, it just can't. Like, you hear too many stories about children dying in waiting rooms, people dying, old people dying. Like, it's just,
we need to fix it. Yeah.
When is it going to change, right? And it's like, you also have to vote.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Vote.
You gotta vote.
Okay.
Right? And you also have to understand too, like, there's a provincial government
And a
and
federal.
a federal government, right? And it's very disheartening to hear that 60% of Ontarians did not vote last week.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the same grievances that we complain about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Healthcare, housing costs. These are all provincial level, guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is the election you should have voted for.
And I say to a lot of, I had a conversation with my friends, and I was like, we're the adults now.
We're the big people.
We're the
I say all the
ones
time,
feeling
we're the new
this.
big people.
So we have to put our voice out there.
We can't complain about housing costs and the quality of healthcare and everything else that we have grievances with, and we don't vote.
Mm-hmm.
And people only complain about the prime minister. No, it's Dougie.
It's everybody. All of them.
This is the election
Everybody.
that you should have been out. Rain, sleet, snow. This is the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
All those grievances we have is at a provincial level, and so you should have voted. 67% of people did not vote.
A lot. A lot.
We all have some money I don't know about. That you don't care how this country's or how your province is ran. Like, you don't care. Like, why wouldn't you vote? That's just crazy. But that's neither here nor there. But I don't agree with saying our healthcare is free when there is no healthcare.
Yeah.
Let me pay for it.
Yeah.
I will pay for it.
Yeah.
Because I want to know that I can take my kids to the hospital and they're going to be seen.
Service.
Right? They're going to be seen. Even I've heard people talk about introducing a copay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that I do agree that part of the reason why the hospitals are so full, and that people are having a hard time family doctors and things like that, I think is because people go to the hospital for everything.
Yeah. But that is one thing,
right?
Dougie was out there talking about, saying there's certain situations that you should not be in the emergency
That's
room
it, right?
for.
Because it's free, people go to the hospital for everything.
Just like they call 911 for everything,
right? So it's I feel like the idea of a copay might not be a bad idea, because I think that it'll weed out some of the issues that we see with hospitals just being bombarded for a common cold or a flu. If your kid doesn't have a fever and they have a runny nose, you shouldn't be in the ER.
Go to Amazon and buy something on
That's it, right? So I definitely think that there is something that we could do on our part as well. But I do think for the most part that our healthcare system needs some attention, and immediately. I don't think it's something that we could sit on. I think it's bad. And so that's why when I try to have some grace when I go to the hospital, and the nurses are not the nicest and the friendliest. It's they've been working for 12 hours. They're tired, they're overworked, and I get it, and at this point it's just kind of not necessarily just a paycheck, but it's a paycheck.
It's a paycheck,
So it's you coming in here expecting them to roll out the red carpet for you. It's
So the nurses that you had, I know you said with the nurse, that's a whole different story. Was that your experience as well with your second?
No. First time around, the nurse that I was initially assigned, and my husband got into it. She was being not dismissive, but she wasn't being very nice.
Okay.
I don't know if she just assumed that I had other children, because I had my first kid when I was 33.
Okay.
Right. So I remember just being in agony. I was in so much pain. I've never gone through labor before. I didn't know what to expect. I was dying. In my mind, I was dying. And so she looked at me in front of him and she was just like, "How old are you?" And I was 33. And she was like, "You should know that labor is not easy." And he was like, I couldn't even respond. He was like, "How would she know that if she's never had a kid labor before?" He's like, "You need to be a little bit more sensitive." And I guess she didn't like that. And so they were going back and forth, and she was going to call some code that was going to get him kicked out of the hospital. And it was a whole thing, because my mom was there. My mom was like, "You're not going to get him kicked out during the birth of his child. He has to be here." And it was a whole thing. And they were stressing me out because one of them had promised me the epidural, and due to how them argue, I didn't get the epidural. So I'm just like, hello?
So you're here getting penalized because they're arguing.
I'm laying on the bed and they're going back and forth, and I'm like, "Well, what about the epidural that you said? Hello?"
Yeah. No.
And she was just like, they're going back, and it was just a whole thing. And then so one of them ended up calling my gyno, who was on vacation, because my son came a week early. And we knew that there was a possibility, right? So he didn't go far. He went to Muskoka.
Okay.
And so he was just like, call me, if you're going
Anything.
to labor, right? So we did, and he came like
Oh,
in his
wow.
Hawaiian shirt,
Okay.
cargo shorts. And he came and he was just like, what's going on? I was telling him I'm really stressed out because they're arguing. These nurses are not being very nice. And, I didn't get my epidural. And so he was just like, why not? Because I think what happened was when I first came in, I was in so much pain. And within like, I want to say half an hour, the pain almost felt like it tripled to me. Like I was just like, I can't, like something's going on.
Yeah.
But when they first checked me, I was only 2 centimeters.
So you still had 2 more to go
and so
before
that's why
active
she was
labor.
basically calling me a baby, saying like it's so early or whatever. And then within like half an hour, she checked, and I think I was up to 4. And then she just kind of left me, right, to kind of fight through it. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll fight through it. And then within less than an hour, my doctor came. And so he was like, okay, let me check. And so he checked, and I was 10 centimeters.
Oh, so you were ready.
And so he was like, this is why she's in so much pain, because she's dilating very fast.
Quickly.
But you guys are not checking. And so she sounds like a baby because you checked an hour ago and she was only 4 centimeters. She's ready to push.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get the epidural.
Because you were already at 10.
So,
you have natural birth, so how'd you manage? Girl, I don't tell nobody to do that. You don't have to play Superwoman. I mean, it's good to not take the medication,
I just bawled and I bawled because I'm like, I was telling you that something was wrong. Like you had to check. And she was just like, oh, that was really fast. I didn't expect it to be so fast. And I was just like, by then I just felt so defeated and I was in so much pain. I was just like, I don't want to work with her. And he was just like, okay. And he was like, give me another nurse. Yeah. And another one came in, and
night and day.
Hello, Black woman. She was Black, and I will never forget her. She was so patient, so nice, and so kind. Like she was like rubbing my back, and she got a fan, and
attentive.
She's like, do you have music on your phone? Like, I'm gonna cry just thinking about her. She was so sweet. She was like, if you have music on your phone, I can play it for you and calm you down.
Anything to make you comfortable.
She was just the sweetest girl. And and then I pushed 3 times maybe, and he was out. The second one, not so much.
Okay, so tell us the difference between the first and the second. So first off, you have your baby, you're able to have children, everything's amazing.
It's a whole new world.
We're going to do it again.
No. So, okay, I should say that I think we underestimated like the fertility, right? Because we went so long without getting pregnant and having a kid. We just thought that we weren't that fertile. Like we got lucky. God shined his light on us, gave us some grace. We got a son. We're happy. Now we have 2 kids. We're fine with this. Like we're good, right? So I had my son in August, right?
They're super close.
So I had my son in August. He was born August 18th, to be exact. Christmas time, I'm at my in-laws' house, and my sister-in-law says, "You look pregnant," and I was like, "Yeah, well, because like I just had a kid, it makes sense."
Look what we are taunting, maybe.
Like, no, look pregnant again. I'm like, my body. She's like, no, because my body was almost like I didn't have a kid. I'm not gonna lie. That first snap back,
you were only belly though.
Yeah, I was all belly the first time. And she was like, no, like you look pregnant. And I was like, girl, what are you talking about? Like, there's no way, right? So didn't listen to her, kind of ignored it. And then by like the end of January, because by now by Christmas time, I already got my period. That was a whole other thing. I didn't have any breast milk. So I had to bottle feed him. And so when I started bottle feeding him, the milk, it just went away because there was barely anything there to
there was nothing to activate it.
Right. And then it just dried up. So my period came. Because, if you're not breastfeeding, your period comes back. So I'm having my period, and then January, I have no period. So I'm like,
this is odd.
Yeah, but still in denial, right? I'm still like, well, maybe my body's just readjusting.
Because I
just had a baby, right? Okay, fine. So I was like, you know what? Just for kicks, I'm going to take a pregnancy test. It came back positive. I was like, okay, well, it's obviously a false positive because like I just had a kid. My body still has hormones, whatever, right? I didn't take it again. I ignored it until the end of the month. Okay. So I was like telling someone the story. I forget who it was. I think it was someone at like the job that I worked at the time. And she was like, I don't think you can get a false positive. She's like, a false negative, yes.
But not a false
But I don't think you can get a
positive.
false positive. I think you should go see your gyno. And I was like, yeah, I guess I'll go. Like, still no urgency.
You're not thinking
no
anything.
urgency, right? So anyway, I go and I see him, and he's like, when did you take the test? I was like, oh, like a month ago. He was like, why are you coming now? And I'm like, well, there's no way I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
So like, obviously, I'm just following up. So he was just like, you can't get a false positive. I was like, so what are you saying? He's like, I think you're pregnant. And I'm like, no, there's no way. Still in denial, right? Okay. The first time I got pregnant, the miscarriage, I didn't hear a heartbeat.
Okay.
First time, obviously, right? That's how we knew I had a miscarriage. The second time, the first son I had, I hear the heartbeat, but the sac is so small, you can't even see anything.
Okay.
First ultrasound experiences are weird for me, right? They made me wait 6 weeks and come back and do the ultrasound again. And then I was able to hear the full heartbeat and see the sac. So now this is my first ultrasound.
Okay.
So the ultrasound office is right around the corner from my doctor's office, right? He says, here, go get an ultrasound and
come back.
He's like, no. He's like, come back if it's positive, if you're pregnant. If you're not pregnant, you're not coming back.
Go home.
All right, cool. I lay down on the thing, and she does the, the whole camera thing. And I kid you not, she put that thing on my stomach, and I heard, doom, 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 doom. I was like, what's that? She said, oh, that's the baby's heartbeat. I said, what baby?
Where it come from?
She's like, oh, your baby. I said, what baby? She says, you're pregnant. I said, how far? She's like 10 weeks. I was like, what? Like, are you saying I'm like almost 3 months pregnant? She's like, yes. I bawled. When I tell you I bawled.
But why were we bawling? Are we bawling because we're happy? Are we bawling because we're shocked? Are we bawling?
That's how I know you're listening to me. Because I bawled. She's like, the doctor wants to see you now, so go back to the office.
Yeah,
I'm in there, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, I don't know how I'm gonna, like, why would I? And he's looking at me like, I remember you were in here crying
because
the same way because you couldn't get pregnant. He's like,
which one is it? Where one?
He's like, why are you crying? I'm like, because my baby's only 10 weeks old. He's like, I told you to wait 6 weeks.
And if I listen, who can hear?
I said, I felt fine. He's like, evidently, because you're pregnant. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm calling my husband, and I will never forget, speeding down the 407, just a wreck, like bawling. And he's like, why are you crying? And I'm like, because I'm like,
very much.
That's crazy. And he's just like, it's fine. Like, we wanted kids. Like, we wanted kids. We'll be fine. Like, yes, I'm nervous too. Like, but we're gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be okay. And I'm like, okay. And that pregnancy was a breeze. I ate whatever I wanted. I was at my heaviest. I think my last weigh-in, I was 197 pounds. I'm 5 feet.
You're a little bit.
I'm 5 feet. 5'1" on a very good day. Like, I'm tiny. So almost 200 pounds. You should see me. I look like a Oompa Loompa.
I was gonna say what me never want to see.
Baby, I was bouncing around. I was bouncing around like a blueberry. Like, I was round, honey. Okay, my ankles were like.
I remember you posting a picture of your feet, and they were so
like real life, like Professor Plums. Like, I was massive. I was huge. I should have known this baby was going to be massive. And then went through the labor. Labor was absolutely horrible. I tell everyone that labor is the most effective form of birth control anybody could have been given. Because I have it no more.
So if you had that labor the first time,
I would have had one. I promise you. Like, it was horrible. It was very long. And like I said, the epidural only worked on one side of my body. He got stuck because he was so wide.
Shoulders?
Yeah. He was almost 10 pounds. I think he was like 9'8" or 9'9" or something like that.
He's all cheeks. Yeah, right now.
He was a big boy. He got stuck. They tried to, like, the suction didn't work. Then they tried to like pull him. They literally had to like yank him out. And when they did, one of his shoulders were dislocated. It was horrible. Honestly, it really was. I was traumatized. You know, when babies come out, you know, babies are like this for a long time, right? Like the first few weeks, he was like this.
Oh no!
And I cried every day. Like I was just like, what did they do to my kid? Like it was just, he was so big. And my doctor was like, I'm so sorry. Because my first one was 5'7". Tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny little baby, right? And he came out like in no time.
Yeah.
This one was literally almost 10 pounds. So he was just like, I'm sorry. I knew he was bigger, but I didn't think he was this big. He's like, yes, women can push out 10-pound babies, but not you.
You're so
like,
tiny.
You're so small. I would have never.
Yeah.
He's like, you would have had a C-section for sure. So he was very apologetic about it. And I love him. Like,
he was honest though.
He was
that's
honest,
the difference.
Right? And he's a doctor. Well, he's in the office, I should say, because he's a gyno. He's in the office I've been going to since I was a kid. Okay. So my pediatrician was there. He's old now and retired. And my family doctor is there. This is my mom's doctor, my grandma's doctor. So like, I trust
someone
them,
you're comfortable
right?
with.
I trust that office. And so he was just like, I'm sorry. But he's like, I had to get him out because we couldn't keep him there any longer stuck. Like we had to pull him out.
Yeah.
He's like, I promise you, his arm's gonna be okay. Like it just needs some time to heal or whatever.
So did it just heal on its own?
It did. No, they didn't sling it or anything. They were just kind of like play with it, you know, give it some strength or whatever. He's like, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine.
And that is also a blessing of their bones.
Right. And that's what he said too. He's like, they're a lot tougher than we think they are. He's like, they can take a lot more than we think they can. So like, don't worry. I was worried. And then my husband went to work and then came home one day and was like, so we were going to like regular appointments because of his shoulder. Okay. Right? And they were checking like constantly to make sure that nothing was wrong. And one of the appointments, my husband looked at the doctor and said, so like at work, right? I work with this one guy and like he has one regular size arm and one small arm.
Is this going to be the case?
And I'm like, why would you ask that? And like, what? No, I'm like, is that going to be the case?
Now you were threatened.
And it's one thing to like be born that way. Like, you can't help that, right? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, if that's the way you're born, that's the way you're born. But like, my kid wasn't born that way. You guys yanked him out. So like, is this going to be? And the doctor was like, no, that's a birth defect. Like, that's not the case.
But your husband just had to make sure.
I was just like, why would you? He's like, I wanted to know. But yes, after like, I would say maybe like a month or two, you would see him. Like, he still would be like this, like the strong arm. But like, he would still, like, you would see him raise it more.
Okay.
But he's turning 6 this year. And if he boxes you with that arm,
you're done.
You would never know that there was ever an issue with that arm. Very strong kid. He just grew big. Like he's still big. He's just solid. He's super heavy. Very healthy kids. I'm very grateful. Yeah. Because go ahead and take out. We need to take out to now having 2 super healthy kids that I can only be grateful. You know, I can only be grateful. And I say all the time that genuinely, like my first kid, like remember I said I was angry with God. Yeah. My first kid, I say all the time, like he healed my heart 100% because I was just so heartbroken after that loss. Yeah. And I think that my first son really was there to like heal my heart, heal that brokenness, right? And I say all the time that my second son restored my faith in God because that. Like, for one, I wasn't trying to have you. Yeah. Right? Secondly, you pray for something and God gave you double. Right?
I thought you couldn't have none.
I just wanted one.
Then you got the one.
I wanted one. And God said, I'm going to give you one, but I'm going to blow your mind. Give you another one that you weren't even expecting. Yeah. And they're both super healthy. Just, you know, I say all the time that, like, I'm a Christian, not a perfect Christian by any means, right? It's a constant struggle. It's a constant like walk and trying to remain faithful. But I say all the time that like I've had my friends say to me, like, how come you don't encourage me to get baptized? Or how come you don't, you know, drag me to church with you? And I don't believe in that. I believe that you have to come to God on your own. Yeah. And I think that you have to experience God. Like if you ask me about God and my experiences, then I will share. But I'm not that Christian that's like do this and do that, and you should read
This
your
is the
Bible
only
and
way.
don't live this way. And
Yeah.
no, I think that everyone has to have their own experiences where they can say, well, if this wasn't God, then what was it? I don't know, right?
That moment that brings to say God is real.
That moment for me was when my car flipped, jumped the island on Steeles Avenue, and I came face to face with a truck. And the truck driver came out and was like, how are you alive? How come?
God.
He's like, I'm on the phone with 911 because I thought you were dead. That was my experience, right?
Yeah.
That's what brought me to God, right? And I think that people feel like sometimes that once you make that decision to be a Christian, then your whole life is going to be Christ-like and it's going to be perfect. And it's not. Like, you have your ups and downs all the time, right? And I feel like my kids is that second experience. And I really think that those two instances for me is why I can say I'm Christian.
Yeah.
Because I think that God definitely saved my life that night. And a doctor telling me that I'm not going to have children, and now I have two. And if I don't use birth control, I will have more. You know, I'm finally at the age where I'm like,
I'm good. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm paying 3 tuitions this year. So I'm good.
We
I
are
can
right.
afford it, you know. I have 2 little ones in private school, and the 17-year-old is starting post-secondary in September, and
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Just a little
And in
bit.
this time and day, it's a lot.
it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive. So no, I can't afford to have any more children. I'd like to have more kids, but
Yeah.
also I'm older too, right? Like, I'm turning 40 this year. So it's like, I'm tired.
We want to sleep.
Okay, I'm tired. I can't have any more kids. So, but I'm grateful, very grateful. There are things I would have changed about my birth experience, but if I could change it, then it wouldn't be what it was, right?
100%.
So, nothing is perfect. The kids are perfect, and really, that's all I could ask for. And I think that when anyone is approaching that experience of giving birth, like, you kind of just have to go into it. You know, obviously having your conversation with your family, you know, in case this, make sure you have that conversation, right? Your partner knows exactly what you want in case something were to happen. But, you know, outside of that, just go in with faith.
1,000%.
In whoever you believe in,
Yeah.
right? I'm respectful of that. Like, you know, go in with faith, whoever you believe in. And honestly, women, God knew what he was doing, because a man could never.
Could never.
Ever.
Ever.
And let's just be honest. Like,
They can't take pain.
Could never. Okay? So I think that women, like, that
Faith is a big thing.
is a big thing, but it's also like, you're that girl.
Yeah.
Like, you gave birth, you made a whole human, and some of us multiple, like, you know, and still bounced back, and still went back to work, and still got the degrees, and still runs the household, and still
You got it.
a man could never. So, like, own that, right? And like, stand in that. And then I think the only other biggest takeaway I have from this conversation is, when it comes to healthcare, advocate for yourself. It's a big deal, especially as Black women. Advocate for yourself. If a doctor is telling you something that doesn't feel right, speak up.
1,000%.
Don't just go with what they say. Like, I have kids. That's like the biggest example I can give. So yeah, speak up, advocate for yourself. And if something doesn't feel right, don't just go with it.
1,000%.
Don't just go with it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
It was interesting.
I know. I feel like I could talk to you forever.
And shout out to moms, though. Before I even go there,
Yeah.
shout out to mom, because if it wasn't for your mom,
Yep.
you would not have these 2 little boys.
A fact. Big up Dawn every time.
Every time.
Dawn's on a cruise right now, living her best life. Go girl.
Okay.
Yes. If it wasn't for my mama, listen to your parents. You're never too old to listen to your parents.
Yeah.
Listen to your parents. 100%.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Thanks, girl. Thanks
All
for having me.
right. We survived this recording. Lord.